Hello guys, this is Jerry speaking. Welcome to episode 10 of Book Reviews, and today we're reading you chapter 9 of Street Gang. Now I put Oscar out of the way, but that's just me. The Complete History of Sesame Street by Michael Davis. So let's read this now and see what we got, shall we? See what we got. Okay. I was going to move this bookmark out of the way so that would be more easier. Anyway. Chapter 9. In the fall of 1967, shortly after Lloyd Morissette converted that the meeting of and telephone experts, he arranged for a panel of educators and travelers to New York to discuss how the television series might be researched and evaluated. One of the remarks for the first gathering of I pronounce it. Excuse me. Adame way to pronounce it. Advertisers to Sesame Street. Its syndicate was greater than that. Once again, Joe Lester, the Harvard professor who had advised NBC's Exploring during its 4-season run, was in attendance. Wow, this is great enough. At the time, Lester's was one of the few academies was conducting serious research on children and television. Another was Dr. Edward Palmette, one of the Oregon State education system, okay, who has developed tests of the research. I can't read that. Excuse me. Measures television education on attention to television. Okay, that's great enough. Lester's married was a formal impressionist way to pronounce it, and collaborative. I remember when I first met him in his office at Larson Hall at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, said Milton Chen. Wow. Executive director of the George Lucas Education Foundation and the former director of research at the Children's Television Workshop. Okay, that's good enough. I was maybe 18, a college sophomore. Here's a excuse me. Here's a Harvard professor with an endowment chair who's standard casual standard uniform. Excuse me, with tennis sneakers, college slacks, and an open shirt. Excuse me. He was in casual with students. He was as a casual student, as he was misspoke. Excuse me. Distinguished with past scholars and educators from around the country. Lester's hallmark was his ability to extract information in a non-threatening manner. Gary's style was to listen, observe, and make suggestions, but in a way they did not turn people off. Whether it was his personality, his criminal training, or his work in the School of Education, I can't say. He just wanted to know where you were coming from, and then he would make suggestions that you clearly understand, and not impose something on you. He wanted to help you do your work. With Lester's good general plotting, these guidance principles emerge at the colony gatherings to prove initial the Sesame Street success. Number 1. A team of in-house researchers should consult with producers and writers and scripts were being developed, providing a healthy give and take about sorry, my phone needs to be cleared up. Anyway, about what preschoolers could and should learn. Number 2, prior to broadcast, field researchers should contests being concerned for the show at the daycare center or Head Start classroom. This for massive research would help shape the direction of the series, providing next page. Okay, clues to what what work it and what then by observing the reactions of the target audience. And number 3, researchers should go back into the field to add and update programs after they have aired into the measure the infirmness of the show's educational goals. If one was to look upon this project and the true experiment, the participants argued, fair defense measurements would need to be in place to prove this both to the major and positive. We pronounce it. The question that Martha posed in that dinner party in 1966 could be adequately answered only in the show had specific educational standards, goals, and regardless post-testing when we pronounce it. The project would establish its credibility there protesting based on its backbone of scientifically, we pronounce it, scientifically, yeah, we pronounce that word, but anyway. About research. Sesame Street then would be the first children's television series, with a bona fide criticism and and evaluation mechanism. Okay. In the 1950s, Miss Francis may have taught children incorrectly as ding dongs on Ding Dong School, but not by following as pedagogically matter plan the Captain Miss Green genes and apparently informally formation in the 1950s, 1960s on Captain Kangaroo, but never with a specialist program of introduction, instruction, and pressure. The same was true with for Romper Room, a live action show with preschoolers that mimic a kindergarten class. Stations purchased the rights in the program franchise name and former launching their own versions with a female teacher host, Romper Room. No doubt, education and entertaining children, but educational research played no role in development and long-range planning. Sesame Street came along, it rewrote the book. Never before have anyone amused a list of advisors to develop a series with stated educational norms and objectives. Never before had anyone viewed a children's show as a living library, where results would be vigorously and continuously tested. Never before in television have anyone fought to manage writers and socially science researchers a forced marriage that was surprising case ease, in good humor, endorsed and thrilled. After the meeting, Lester privately admired to Margaret that he wasn't sure. He wanted to continue with the project, but Margaret was concerned the educator was a perfect choice to be Sesame Street's founding educational director. Wow. It took some convincing, Margaret amended. I remember going to be conference and visiting with Gary and his wife Stella one night at crying for convincing him to be he should take this on. He was skeptic on this group. Okay, he wasn't sure television can teach. Lester always expressed concerns about Cooney, whose credibles he found lacking, even as he found at her as engaging and intelligent contributor. He would not be only one to raise doubts about Cooney's lack of experience and training. At the time grew near the choice of a formal project director. Qualifications aside, there was also the matter of gender. Lester's concerned to the undercurrent of a doubt about whether a woman could command enough respect to steer the project, and attitude that nearly emerged from discrimination, the very person who had developed the idea. On Tuesday, November 7th, 1967, President Johnson, who was in good spirits in the American Marine Band, played tropical marches in the marble foyer outside the East Room. Wow. It was slightly before noon, 2 days after the debut of something called the Public Broadcasting Library, the Pets project of Fred Friendly. That November 5th broadcast of PLL, the Sunday night television program, the library named after itself, was abnormal for who did watch for it did. The opening night topic was the race of religions in America, and family and polarizing issue. To be sure, slightly seen 10 stations in Georgia, 7 in Alabama. 10 stations in my area, so that say. 7 in Alabama and 5 in South Carolina refused to air the premiere in Tallahassee, Florida. Station officials cite financial reasons. For Poland PLL in Cleveland, WDVIZ denied its broadcast of a program until after the May jury election. Fearful that its content might validate voters. In Athens, Ohio, one broadcaster sent a 1-sentence telegram to PLL's executive director and PLL's executive producer, Avram A. Weston. God help PLL and ETV. Altogether, some 29 non-commercial stations refused to air the program. Friendly's vow to monetize the hearts and minds of the nation had backfired badly. Weston later gave the 2.5-hour broadcast a middling grade of C+. This is sad. It's a official rapper than sizzle on the topic and the racial divide. Hype the dramatic departure from the previous attempts at public service broadcasting. PLL offered 150 minutes of live television that missed the mark by miles and drove the disappointed viewers away. What was billed as new steam tried to stretch out. New York Times critic Jock Gold slammed the premiere as a blight of awkward confusion and dullness. A sorry affair in all respects. This is sad. The G-Wiz bias as the opening presentation and then described hard pursuit as information in favor of service motion could, if continued, give the cause of public broadcasting an unnecessary hard time if years ahead in Washington. If the premiere should be regarded as a representative of what you have lies ahead, Congressman could scarcely be blamed for. Turn the page. Wondering. Hold on. Okay. Wondering if the huge permit investment, if non-criminal video is warranted, but contrast the normal workings of national educational television and commercial TV claims look good. Sad, no. News, nevertheless, some 300 diagnosis had already been invited to the White House to the witness of the signings of the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967. Wow, that was easy. No operation of the bill is the starvation of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, CPP for short. A non-profit body charged with regulation and straightening non-commercial television was a milestone in television history. After all, it's marked as the first time the federal government authorized funds. $9 million to federal schools in 1968. From among other things, the creation of critical enriching content for public stations through though the funds have not yet been appropriated by Congress. Mr. Johnson Congress stated his hope that the money would be made available soon. Then, praising the quick passage of the bill, the president singled out Douglas Care, what you pronounce it. Administration of Iowa will also be single-handedly steer this legislation through Congress. Sorry, your family in the background, but anyway. After LBJ's remarks, Carney Corporation President Alan Pryfar rose to pledge $1 million from his organization, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Is public-private charter allowed for foundation money to supplement for governments in the subversity, what you pronounce it. Hands were pumped, backs were slapped, and LBJ's enjoyed the brief moment of release before returning to the Oval Office in the way of war with Southeast Asia that seems without end. Over at the HEW, preferably battle with school districts and non-compliance with federal discreditation mandates. It was an ongoing struggle in his own little civil war, but amid the confusion, he was still managed to make good on his own pledge to Martha and Cooney, round up money from other government agencies to support the preschool TV project. In the memo, Howe appealed to representatives of the Office of the Economy opportunities at the Children's Bureau, National Industries of Health, and the National Industries of Children's Health and Human Development. It strikes me that this project represents a fine opportunity for government, foundation, corporation, to solve a major human problem. He wrote. My current thinking is that federal agencies should be prepared for the fund at the least half. Okay. With Carney and other industry interested foundations founding the ballots. Howard take upon himself the job as a spokesman and commenter and the good neighbor said Carney's Barbara Feinberg. Okay. The pieces were starting to fall into place. At the meeting of the Carney Corporation's Board of Trustees held during the second week of January of 1968, roughly 2 years after the Cooney Dare Party, a resolution passed to allow it $1 million towards the project that will now budgeting at $7 million. Lloyd Moseret persuaded Carney the ain't up. It's only remained to be seen whether other funders would follow. He would dearly hope. Okay. How meanwhile have heard that the Ford Foundation have been considering that support the unrelated children's television project, a show to teach reading skills, especially in inner city viewers. One of it have also reached the Monterey and Cooney, who were both baffled by the notion of limiting the audience for such a show that was underprivileged. What are they going to do to call it? Poor Children's Hour? Makes no sense to me, but whatever. Cooley ass only have fashionality, so we pronounce it how Yankees Prime Minister phone McGeorge Bundy, the Boston Birmingham argued him to drop the reading show about this Carney project instead. Wow. Howe argued that for one of the closer effort to assist all economic class of children with the indulgent of target audience, but the certain circles of more privileged viewers gain from it. Well, why should we be going in two directions when we should be going in one? He asked. I'm best known as into how Bundy was all had made quite a study of the Carney idea, but I've always after Champ War, the officer charged with bringing the for idea, but only after Camp Ward, the officer charged with bringing forward. Yeah, I misspoke. Excuse me, I misspoke. But anyway. Education and Industries as Ford. Wow. Has rejected it. A copy of the discarded Frizzly study found its way to Howard Dressner. A quiet and unanswered on Stumming Minister at Ford. Wow. Excuse me, I misspoke. Yeah. But after reading the document that had been stepped adrift, he sent it over to Bunny's office Mac. He said, "You have got to read this." Bunny told how he might consider support the Carney study if it was more expect about using television to address the needy. The foundation was less interested in the experimental expats in the project, he said, than its criminal possibilities. If Cooney proposed personal rewrite could demonstrate how the project might benefit the underprivileged. It could clarify how word of it would reach its intended target audience. Ford would likely join the demonstration. Ford wanted it to make it clear that the disadvantaged child was the bullseyes. Wow. Cooley said we all agreed totally. It all sounded good to Hall, who was the first time had extended influence on behalf of the preschool television project. His person-to-person plea to Bonnie immediately fused to a few-way partnership among the U.S. Office of Education, Carney and Ford. On January 31st, 2 weeks after Carney published the first $1 million thing, Barnett received a letter from Ed Maid and encouraged him that day. Next page. Check for $250,000. Okay. Would be arriving from Ford within 2 weeks. The letter also demonstrate that Ford would consider awaiting that initial $1 million if the series is planned tourism seminars the following summer. Pro Satisfactory. The marriage of conservation is Martha arranged for NET to provide professional management and legal of and administrative assistance to the fledgling children's television workshop. They need a home for this project, said John F. White, then president of NET. We desired the letter of agreement, then said we would provide the legal tent and visual tent under the which was this could operate. Okay, excuse me, I misspoke. The government was saying the Ford Foundation had been to have a place to which they could give the money. We had it for our part. The board of NET and I would be helpful if they in a way will be providing whatever advice and assistance, would deem wise or Joan requested. We would handle and amuse responsibly by the expenditure, we pronounce it, of dollars. Well, that's a lot of money. We would not influence with development of the program. The Children's Television Workshop was to be a self-enclosed entity, but under the direction of Joan Cooney, and it would be so established. One of the reasons it was so well, it's because we learned from some of the mistakes at PBL, yeah, we pronounce it. Fresh in everyone's mind was the fractures, we pronounce it, mess that the Fred Friendly's PBLs had become. Yeah, it was a mess, but anyway. Despite of all-star routine of production and on-air talent, self-located inference from two board advisors and a strategic management structure doomed the project from the stars. In its smart considered history of public television author James Day described the development faced by Weston, the progressive CBS News producer who was PBL's executive producer at the time, responded not to top one, but to communies, in which the activity, excuse me, responded to not one, but two communies, in which the activity communies for validation bankroller on the sidelines. Westland found himself atop of a body heel structure that produced confusion, frustration and anger, and prominent organizational maladies from which PBL never fully recovered. Learned too much from PBL, Cooney said. Everything they did, we did differently. Jack White wanted the project at NET, and it could not have been easier. We were independent, but always called ourselves Sumerians, Moss, we pronounced it. We didn't want to have NET unhappy. Yeah, I agree. Tom Kennedy and Stuart Starman finalized details in the arrangements. Kennedy and fantasies who had told the CBS during the tumultuous region of Fred Friendly, who has been the chief number of quantity of PBL. I used to control the budgets for the space program for the election, among other things. He said, I was into the very heavy duty pressure. I remember Fred Friendly calling me into his office one day. He had all of his vice presidents there. It was complaining about the pressure I was putting on them on the budgets. He said, "You don't understand. My people are out there in the snow, and I felt worried, and the rain, and they don't trying to get the story, and you and your clients are home with your loved ones, and I agree. Snug up in the warm bed, yeah." And I thought I had said something, but because Fred was a very overbearing kind of guy. It's sad. Even the late 60s, it was sad. I reached into my pocket and took out a piece of paper and pencil. I don't know whether I got the idea. Why does it jump into my head? But when I wrote my telephone number down, leaned over and hand it to him, Fred, tell him if they get confused about spreading any time of the day or not, give me a call. He was speechless. Yeah, I agree. It's sad. Both Zuckerman and Kennedy had fought hard and long to get a concept and least independence with an NET sort of fully on substantially concept. Kennedy recalled the NET way of doing things wasn't necessarily the subject of sharpness. They didn't manage well, then they were a little too political about some areas. But Jack White and was so immense to get Children's Television Workshop as part of NET, and I agree with that. And so anxious to prove that he was not going to interfere, that he gave more independence to the workshop, that he had the PBL, and I felt worried. He didn't want to look like he was being political after PBL. It was sad. It was a stunningly bad deal for NET. Cootie said. They administrated the project without getting any money at all. It was sad. Except that actual cost, the deal made no sense to me. It made no sense to me. Yeah. Now it was it had one of the things that gave us a lot more money. Yeah, I agree. The project reported to the board of NET through Jack White, and the board was immediately responsible. I went and addressed to the board. In the attendance was board member Pete Pearson, the head of Bell and Hollow. It was first time I ever met him, and he was by far the most interested person in the room on the project. He asked me the 100 questions, and came up afterward and said, "This is the most exciting thing I ever heard." And I agree with that. In the late winter of 1968, Joe Kent Cooney, knack for the easy landing jobs without the requirements of coordinations was about to betray out her. It was sad. At stake was the opportunities to steer the preschool television project to completion as an organizational structure for this began to emerge. It was Cooney to have expressed the importance of industriality, someone to be, in her own words, a constable central figure, a person to wear whose mind the whole project exists. Someone financing to see that the mess of programming makes the program, information and the research work. That person, she said, would carry the title of executive director. It would be someone terribly important to the title, and executive director will be someone I messed up, sorry. Moral and funding of the organization and central and on premier promise of figure whose standard stands and falls you whom you have fault assess and continuing to have basics. Somebody you know keep an eye on the ball and has a vision. Next page. Anywho, before I get to other pages like this, I will show you I have to show you these pages. Now, these pages are very old classics. Now, from 124 to 125, I'm going to read in between this 124 and 125 page. Let me just read this 124 page. Let me show you the classics now. Let me see. That person, she said, must be invincible man in the face of co-promise, turn away any idea that would durable or destroy the original vision. And she said the role of executive director must be an ape of apex, of the management pyramid. Management pyramid. Okay. Direct reports would include an executive producer, a director of research, official director, an outreach director, and a public relations director. The executive director research report the board of advisors. For those advisors would be prohibited. For Tamlin who there be any of the content careers of the research. In short, she examined the business administrators Chandwangers when it did PBL. Okay, now because the Cooney had guided that project constant developed had from conception had as both researcher and writer. She might have been viewed as the natural choice for the executive director, but respective for the two of the emerge financial backers of the project. The Ford Foundation and the U.S. Department of Education likes the project lead at international consultant Jerry Lesser expressed serious reservation about Cooney's lack of high level management experience and leadership. How could someone with untested financial management skills be expected to oversee a multi-million-dollar budget? Wow. How could someone with no experience in children's television be expected to launch the highest profile show ever be mounted for young adult audiences? Wow. Again. Anyway, how could a producer from Reign's Channel 13 be expected to helm a project aimed at the national audience? How could Cooney be expected to hold her against the renowned educational researchers would only be bachelors of arts and educational short student teaching stunt interviewer name? Wow. Dollars also question whether a woman could gain the full confidence, we call it. Correction man from the federal governor, and two elect prominentees, what you pronounce it, industriations, walls wealth industries that grows national products in the industries, colonies, industries. A woman was ultimately the most among of these naysayers. Glory Madras, Ford Foundation Education and Research Director, did not think a project headed by a woman could be taken seriously. Cooney said Ford thought more having Scollier as an education executive director with producers working with him. Lou Hansman of the USOE, but major reservations about everyone from public television becoming an executive director. Indeed, the show being a public television at all. To make matters worse, the same people who found Cooney rowdy won some bad experience. Submit a list of candidates for executive producer only affected by after Cooney did not come up with 5 prominent names with their own added in the list. Perhaps only the courtesy of Martirez, we pronounce it, Martirez, we pronounce it, Morissette, we pronounce it, excuse me, we said that our era of professional mastery of the early stages of the candidate search. Now, I'm going to read Cooney, it's a part of it. Now, before I begin reading what I said about Cooney, let's go over the pictures now and just continue on what I was reading. Now, let's see. Back in 1966, Sarah, Martha, and her baby sister were hooked on television. Her father, Lloyd, took notice and wondered aloud whether television sound could teach. That was easy. And then this one last picture features Lloyd, Martha, and her daughter Sarah. Should some picture in October 1965. I'll show you the picture now. This is a picture of Sarah and her baby, and this is Lloyd, Martha, and her daughter Sarah. Next page. Now, In February 1964, civil rights advocates Joan Keynes and Tim Cooney were married at the Roman Catholic Church at St. Benedict Superior in New York. The bride was a public affairs producer at Channel 13. The groom was a public relations director of the New York Department of Labor. Below that is the 10-year-old Joan Keynes, far left, joined her sister, Sylvia, brother Paul, mother Pauline, and father Sylvan for the dual poet taken in the process Arizona. Mr. Moore, performed by puppeteer Cosmo Gus Alcagresi, would you pronounce it? Mr. Moose, excuse me. Visited with Captain Kangaroo Bob Keeshan at the back door of the treasure house. As the rest of the Muppets goes right here. Kermit was the only Fotley emission in 1957, when Jim Henson and Jane Nepple performed twice nightly with WRC at Washington Studios in Washington. Sam, the title character of Sam and Friends, and It's Far Life. Wow. Left. Excuse me. Dr. Edward Palmer, the founding research director of Children's Television Workshop, was one of the first social scientists to measure television's ability to all attention of children. Now, here are the pictures of them now, and I'll get to the next page. Oh, come on. Really? I'm not going to wait all day for this. Hold on one moment. Okay. There we go. And here, I'm not moving this out of the way because this is the easiest way to move this picture. This is the easiest way to take pictures, but there you go. This is Joe Cans and Jim on the right, left, and pictures of Charlie on the left, and Captain Kangaroo on the left, Jim and the Children's Television Workshop on the right. Next page. Next page has piano prodigy Joe Raspazos, okay, promised was event age 7. Harvard's undergraduate Joe Raspazos let a cigarette dangle from his lips to appear older than his wife Pat Collins. Wow. During the summer shock rehearsal at the Hammonds Playhouse and on Cape Cod. Now, below that is author and illustrator Maurice Charnock's duels provided sharp commentary on educational television. And the proceedings at the Curzon seminars held at Harvard University and the Hotel Manhattan in the summer of 1968. It was based on where the Wild Wings are. Now Bob McGrath, he was a singer in Sesame Street, formed as a child at LaSar's County Fairgrounds in the north central Illinois. That was awesome. Anyway, in the first decade of Sesame Street, nothing could come between David, voice portrayed by Norman Calloway, and Maria, portrayed by Susan Mazzano, that didn't stop Oscar from trying. Below that is, after the test audience yawned, Jim Henson brought on Carol Spinney, the role of Big Bird and Oscar. To get more life in the street, Big Bird and Oscar became a sweet and sour combo for the ages. Wow. Now that Carol Spinney's retired now, and was calling my status right now, this is a scene, it's like pictures seen here. Now look at this closely. Joe Raposo and the illustrations seen here from Maurice Sonic on the left, Bob McGrath, and David Sonio, Norman and Sonio, and Jim and Carol on the right. And let me just turn to the next page, okay? And here we go. Big Bird is a ritual design, was initially in a bit of a doo-doo which I would call Morgan Doodoo from now on. I'm joking, but anyway. And Jim Henson's early imagination. Wow. Wow. Though initially a star, Kermit took direction well from Joan Stone, who was never without the any pencil. Wow. Below that, it's the big guns were summoned from a appearance by Lenny Horn, sent between Joe Raposo and Joan Stone. Jim Henson cracking the puppet, but known as Bat Blue. Wow. This was easy. Actress Linda Bob toured with the Little Fear of the Deaf in 1970. When she joined Sesame Street cast, she received strong support from the writer Amy Kinsley. The idea for Oscar was the comedy country and sprang from the Corcoran submitted in 1968. Paradise suggested that the character was well received in nominate events might click with kids. Wow. Now I'm going to show you this page, and here we go. And that's Big Bird on the left, and along with Kermit and Joan Stone, and the making of the alphabet with Lenny Horn singing. And on the right was Len Above and Carol and Oscar and the kids. Next page. And we still have more. Okay, so it's gone. Actress Tony McDonald here with Jeff Moss become a writer in Sesame Street. Wow. Below that features Cookie Monster, owns part of the expensive of Jeff Moss. Head writer, when the character was introduced, the most marble of Muppets have, and Monster as Cookie does. To Jeffy, me love you, Cookie Monster. Yum, 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 yum. Okay. But anyway, Big Bird gets a lesson on breeze speed from Buffy St. Mary, who, inspired by the role by Hawaiian, who was born in India, we pronounce that, and her son, Cody. That scene took less than a minute of screen time. It was the first for children's television. Wow. Right. Now for Jerry Nelson, who got him started in the puppetry with Bill Bard, joined the Muppets in the 1960s. In 1972, he gave life to the vampire Count Von Count on Sesame Street. Wow. Left features from Beneath the Camera, Jim Henson and Fred Oz as Ernie and Bert, made for the one and the great comedy duos in the history of television. They were like brothers. Wow. Puppeteer Richard Hunt, who is passed away now in 92 from AIDS. Monroe was the studio where he was a force to nature. Hunt was a creative force behind Don Music, Forgetful Jones, and the Bonvine Dana Glaze the Cow. Now, let me show you these awesome pictures seen here. Now, this is the note of Cookie Monster and Jeff Moss, whatever, and Sue McDonald and Big Bird and Buffy, we pronounce it, and that's Jerry Nelson on the right, and Jim Henson, Frank Oz on the left, and Richard Hunt in the bottom. Now let me show you this. There's still more. Okay, so it's gone. Is there any more left? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's still there's more left. Okay, so it's gone. Okay. Colleges, Richard Hunt and Jerry Nelson collaborating on the feuding two-headed monster and command construction workers, Sully and Biff. That was amazing, man. From season 1, Frank Oz far right embodies the level Grover with energy, imagination, healthy self. It seemed kids think he was super. Wow, that was amazing with Grover. Before he was Bob on Sesame Street, Boo Boo McGrath was a singing sensation, wow, in Japan, wow. The young teacher rose to fame in Asia thanks to the American TV show Sing Along with Mitch. Now, he was also in very happy merry birthday to you on the record video. I heard about this on YouTube back in the day. That was amazing. But anyway, student and teachers united on Sesame Street when stage and film star James Earl Jones appeared in an episode as former drama instructor Will Lee, also known as Mr. Hooper at the time. And Big Bird calls him Mr. Hooper. And Big Bird's like, and Carol's like, that's Hooper, Big Bird. But anyway, above that is just by being himself, Jason Kingsley helped Sesame Street become more for the neighborhood Jason. Wow. Born with Down syndrome. Wow. If you watch this, Emily and Nathan, this is for you. Appeared in 55 episodes. That is a wow for me. In season 17, Gordon, Roscoe Osborne, and Susan Laura Ramon adopted Miles, played by Orman's real-life son of the same name. The family were given the surname Robinson to honor Matt Robinson, the original Gordon. Wow, this is awesome, man. It was based off of my childhood. Now, Gordon was based off my entire childhood. But now, thanks to that, it was a basic thing. Let me show you the pictures and all. Now, on the left, you see, you saw that Jerry Nelson and Richard Hunt, and let's see what else we got here. Frank Oz, another thing for the first season, and Bob McGrath, and some Asian people, and James Earl Jones with Mr. Hooper, and reunited with them, thankfully, and Jason with Down syndrome with Cookie Monster, and Susan, Gordon, and Miles. Miles' son was originally the name of Peterson, Matt Robinson, who now passed away at the moment, so at the age of in the 80s. I'm not sure how old that was in the 30s, and died in 2002. Not sure when, but that's just me. But anyway, next page is Kevin Clash. Okay, guy's big break on national television right in his high school, performing Captain Kangaroo, with puppets he made at home in Baltimore. Left. Over time, Kevin Clash working alongside Jim Henson and Kermit, eliminate his mentor by excelling and perform in directing and producing. He now also redoing puppeteers for international co-production on Sesame Street, which no longer be a saying. It's no longer happening in the moment because he left Sesame Street after 2012. If you watch this Kevin Clash, I don't know what to expect to you. Because Sesame Workshop redesigned you, by the way. They decided to resign you because I feel worried for you, Kevin, for the way you look like this. Anyway, moving on. Joined Big Bird at the White House. Kevin party, Christmas party in 1978 were from the far left, Jim Henson, Walter Cronkite from CBS News, First Lady Rossman, Rosalind Carr, and head leader Joe Raspo. Wow. Head Hartstrand Field sketch of the Sesame Street cast from season 15. Wow, this is a lot of fun. Anywho, Kevin Clash is a Harmon High freshman from Elmo, a character that fairly fell into his arms. Clash also performs Hoots the Owl, who plays sax and sings like Scratchmo. And executive producer Dulcie Singer was a matchmaker who decided that Louise Emilio DiGraio and Maria Susan Mazzano should marry. They exchanged vows in a operatic style segment composed by Jeff Moss that aired on May 1988. Wow. I mean, this was easy. Now, let me show you the pages now. That's Captain Kangaroo and Kevin Clash. Kevin Clash with Jim Henson with Kermit the Frog. Big Bird with these people, following people I just mentioned. And Big Bird with a lot of people in the season 15 drawn by someone, wow. And Kevin Clash with Elmo. And season 19 finale to celebrate their marriage of Louise and Maria. Wow. Anyway, friend Bill joined the Muppets at the time when Jim Henson was actively recurring woman's puppeteers. She had her hands fully especially for Zoe. Wow. 18-month-old Alexandra Peterson visited the Sesame Street set with her grandmother, Joan Cooney, in 1987. Wow. When executive producer Dorothy Singer left the show, she took a Muppet doppelganger with her as a going-away gift. They are the same hairstylist. Wow. At the studio in Connecticut, Carol Spinney draws and paints special scenes involving Big Bird. Wow. Rather than bow transition, Joe Stone far left were a Dasco in the Emmys. From far left in toes was Joe Bassley, Norman Stiles, and Jeff Moss. Beamly Emily Kinsley took home a role as well. Wow, this is easy. Let me show you the pages what I'm going to show you. Now, here's friend Bill with Zoe and Joan Can's Cooey with her granddaughter and Big Bird and Joan Can's Cooey with Dolly Zoe, which he left by the way, and Carol Spain with some draws of Big Bird, who now passed away last year, and these 5 crew from Sesame Street, which is awesome. Now, we're going to show you the last bits of our pages. And we're going to continue reading on, and we're going to wrap things up. The cast for this 35th anniversary season appeared in the well-received special on PBS, Sesame Street Presents The Street Live On. Wow. In the war over personal male freedom, the native high criticism at home in 1995, President Clinton said Joan Can's Cooney had proven in living color that the powerful medium in television that could be the tool that the build reason, not reaction, for growth, but not suffering to build young lives up rather than tear them down. And I agree with that. And I thank you, Clinton, for giving them the award. So there's pictures, Sesame Street's 45th anniversary, and then we got Joan Can's Cooney with President Clinton from 1995, year I was born. And with that said, let's continue on with the second last 4 pages. Cooney likewise did nothing to promote have her own cause. I wasn't even concerned myself, she said. It wasn't the sort of thing I thought woman could seek, even though I wasn't realized I was the most qualified. She's a search commands such as I was discussed the probability of Cooney's being named deputy director. Okay, the idea was the deputy director. I would succeed whoever fought the top job. Cooney explained. For the escalation, the flight that the executive director position did not go down while at home with her husband. the New York City political hand, um, Tim was paled by the objections raised regarding with his wife's and Kennedy, we pronounce it. It seems incredible to him that anyone familiar with the evaluation of the project, okay, would question her command of the material of organizational, okay. Complete comparison to the general that was in shoe provocated him even further, and he pushed Joan to person to top job. I just want to ask for the job if Tim had pursued me, Kuya once said. I was concerned and initial experienced woman. All I had been a pop producer was, I suppose, didn't count too much for much. And of course I did the study that was the basics for the whole program. Wow. But it was still considered to be the totally in experience in terms of writing anything. Cooley knew enough about someone to understand how ill suited she would have been produced a series with preschoolers. Having never work a day in children's television. Everyone talk about me in being an executive producer, but I'm not creative in this way, Cooney said. I have never worked on the kind of techniques we were talking about. I will not have that known where to begin. Tim Cooney were not about to see anyone else named executive director. And so he have devised a strategy. One night he turned to his wife and said, matter of factory, if they have offered you the deputy position, the answer is no, you are not going to be with the project at all. And I disagree with him on that big time. Just tell them you are not available for the second spot, and I disagree on that. Such a tactic would force the abilities to consider the techniques of moving forward without her involvement. Yeah, I disagree. If she walked, he reasoned, the project would lose in his eyes and his ears. Yeah, I agree. Being a number two did seem all that odd to me as a woman and in that period, Cooney admitted. And Tim said that's not just nuts. There's no project without you. Uh-huh. No. No, Tim. But anyway. They ought to put you in the number one. Yeah, I agreed. Joan agreed. She probably improved Morissette in her availability for the number two job, and I disagree on that. If offered, command that the whole decision was quickly become known to the players of Ford, Carney, and the U.S. Office of Education. That focused their minds rather too quickly on the fact that the project was not actually on the paper yet. It was on my head, Cooney said. I would not think as a threat was necessary, okay? But by having made up by my mind, I will leave. Okay, sad, I know. Where are we? Okay. Lloyd, who was nervous that I was have to leave, said, how would you be married and take this kind of job? I said, Lloyd, I was born to do this job. I knew it. I knew that I was going to do this job. I knew that it was to be successful. It was this crazy confidence. The Ford Foundation's Edward Mandy of a Harvard graduate school of education was among those charged with this in defining the best candidate for executive director. I didn't know Joan too well, and I said, gee, can't wait to see. Can we get someone to have more educational experience? Oh God, help me. Anyway, um, Mead said some people who, including myself, went out looking for somebody who doesn't exist. Yeah, I don't agree on that. We looked around. We couldn't offer no alternatives that seemed to make any sense at all. Not just alternatives to Joan, but alternatives to C. I think it was Lloyd Marset who said, "Why don't we just return to someone who started the whole thing?" Couldn't understood that Margaret was solely in her corner, if it even it was a blank expression that gave no clue of it to others. Lloyd had worked with me so long, so closely that he had no doubts. Cooley said. So we had was both and as an Vantage said, and this Vantage suggesting me as derivations. Now Cooney argued more that to temper his support in her candidates. Wow. A bit, making sure you don't ram me, boo. She said the project can't succeed if you were not appoint executive director you would trust and say, we'll leave the period person alone. This must be built in. You can't negative it after you have the money. Yeah, I agree on that. Means the predictions about Cooney initially abated. The more I've talked to Joan, the more I saw what a foolish question I have raised. She have done a good feasibility study and was anxious to get the show on the air. She never once promotes himself. She was no question above that. If anything, she was a far too humble, we pronounce it anyway. We suddenly realized we have a diamond right in our hands. On February 15th, Cooney was selected executive director. They realized that it would have been impossible to move on without me. Cooney said without a slight smile. They were stuck with me, excuse me, I misspoke. But anyway, Doc Hall's assistant, Luz Hoffman, may have been seen to be some annoying distraction at first, but as a correlation to Sesame Street were not sensational. It was the first to realize that the first week study did not come close to projection. What was the show would actually cost? The reality check helped to boost the budget $6.7 million by January 1968. Including that some would funds to cover the pre-broadcast months and the first 26 weeks of show. That was cool enough. Anyway, as a substantial in that figure was Hosman, the commercial television federation was not convinced that even it would do. One day was a Cox, excuse me, I misspoke. But anyway, he asked Cooney, he would, how did you know, you won't need $1 million more for animation? We don't, Chief Farley said. Hawson's question triggered one final now or never review of the official plan. When the dust sell, the budget had taken a last leap to just under $8 million of staggering sum. On Daunted, the Office of Education agreed to put off have, leaving something less than $4 million to be made up for charity for it, and whoever else might drop there will be checkbook. Wow. We're short of $1.5 million, Cooney said, just before after stroke, for good fortune, as well as relation networking, fell upon Sesame Street. The good news came delivered from John W. Macy, the newly installed president of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. He had heard about the shortfall from the preschool project and wanted to help. John was another person of the timers who believed in getting things done. A real no-nonsense guy in many ways, like Doc Hall, needs to deal with, said Montserrat. He had been very good friend to Jim Perkins. Good enough. And was the vice president who at first Carney and one knew John well. That president combination of people, we pronounce it, and friendship and environmentally important. I'm not exactly sure how the conversions came about, how the amount of money was arrived at, but it was certainly eased in the personal relationships. On behalf of CPB, Macy came forth with the final $1.5 million. With that, the project was have a home at NET, a fat bank account. Wow. The beginnings of the leadership team and the name, we're going to call it the Children's Television Library, until someone said, no, that sounds too much like PBL, Cooney said. That's how Children's Television Workshop was founded. Wow. On March 20th, 1968, the first day of spring, a gaggle of well-wishers at the Wardrobe Astor Hotel formed a semicircle around Mayor George Bundy, president of the Ford Foundation, Alan Beiser, president of Carnegie Corporation, and Howard Doc Hall, commissioner of the U.S. Office of Education. There's representing the three major funding industriations. Each man had been given a short opportunity to speech to the administrative multi-tubes at the press conference to announce the formation of a Children's Television Workshop. Prudential demonstrated as much, but as the room began to empty and microphones and cameras, turn the page, were packed away. It was a speaker who no one ever recognized at first, who had caught everyone's attention. They're off the sides who John Kent Cooney, the newly introduced executive director of the Children's Television Workshop. That was exciting, big time. In his taxi ride back from the event from the New York Times, Jack Gold must have very crafted ways led to someone for the following day's article. The pitchy paragraph that would open the multi-dimensional story about the event he had left only minutes earlier. The heads of Carnegie Corporation, the Ford Foundation, and the United States Office of Education in a meeting yesterday that Wardrobe Astor Hotel announced plans to see whatever child's event interest to TV can be excitedly channeled into preparation for the educational journey so vital to their lives and the well-being of our nation. If you spot a commercial that aroused interest in the item and the merchandise, the plan suggested why you can't spot interest in the letter A. The number one. and the upper cycle program of the snowball. Okay. On one of the primary aims of the plans, sponsors said it was a opportunity intellectual and curricular growth for the young children from disadvantaged backgrounds. This hypothetical science showing that the estimated achievement gap between disadvantaged and middle class children shows up very early in the school years. A detailed outline of the adventure, which is called Children's Television Workshop, statistics taken from the Nielsen's Television Index, showing that television children, under the age of 6 span upwards of 54.1 hours a week watching television. The workshop hoped to capitalize the mediums of professional reaching, teaching numbers, classic stories, the alphabet, language, and the art of reasoning. In fact, goal that the had and you put had 2 times, but anyway. In fact, gold had more than just more in to prepare the story. As one today before the Paris conference. Cooney and Margaret had taken the Times television writer to launch, providing an extra briefing about the preschool television project. For the potential that the newsman had honor and as a minstrel not to publish details about the first edition. This was not entirely to curry favor, but rather to give Gold information that he in turn could share with the top editors of the Times. Their hopes being that the newspaper might give the story decent plays on its news pages. Gold expressed their expectations. Convincing his bosses that the announcement was one of the most important television developments of the decade. It's made page 1 among the Woman of News profile of the Jonkins Cooney. The appointment of the paper said automatically throws her into the forefront of women executives in broadcasting. Mike Dan, way to pronounce it, the brash and brilliant presented the entertainment programming of CBS television. Snap opened this morning fresh company of the Times, reading the Children's Television Workshop announcement story, and drew the sheet of stationery from his desk. 2 days later, the cautionary note teach Cooney expressing I cannot pronounce this word. It's actually how I pronounce it. With the idea of the children's show that educated as is entertained. Dan offered any support for your desire. That was very long. So that was chapter 9. I think I'm gonna let me see how long chapter 10 was. Let me see. Wow. This was so many pages long, but that's just me. Anyway, that was it. And what do you think about this video? It was amazing. Chapter 9 was amazing. So, anyways, guys, that wraps up for chapter 9 of his book, Street Gang. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one, which can be chapter 10 of this book, or the upcoming unboxing video or something like that. But in the terms of coming up next wise, is the someone else that I need to do for a friend of mine named David 3000, aka David St. Dennis. If you watch this, David, this is for you. I gotta do something for you, David, because that's something I really want to do. But then chapter 10 is up next afterwards. That's something I really want to do to read this book. Still have to finish up this book, and then we'll see what happens. But anyway, chapter 10, 11, and 12 will be next. It's coming tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. But right now I gotta do this. Once I get done with this book, this will be the end of it. I'm gonna do the next book sometime soon, but that's just me. And then we'll do something very familiar with the next 2 books coming up. We'll see. But after that, it was over. So there you go. But that's just me. But anyway, till next time, LukeJ, goodbye. Peace out, baby. We get more videos to guys very soon. Till then, jump saying out. See ya.